Do you believe in dinosaurs? How about the narrative they push along with dinosaurs, like evolution, the Big Bang Theory, that the Earth is millions and millions of years old? If you ask a preacher if he believes in dinosaurs, his answer is yes. If you ask him how old the Earth is, he'll probably say it's millions of years old. And if you ask him if he believes in evolution, he'll probably say yes. But why? Is that in the creation story at all? Let's check it out.
Eat, sleep, debunk the globe, repeat. Eat, sleep, debunk the globe, repeat. Once you go flat, you don't go back. Got a bunch of globes back at home up in the trash. I'm not even really tripping if I get laughed at, cause everybody here is about to get flat smacked.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and morning were the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Thus God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmaments of the heavens, to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light on the earth." And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of the heavens." So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which the waters abounded, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing and beasts of the earth, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish in the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all of the earth, over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." And God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life. I have given every green herb for food," and it was so. Then God saw everything that he made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and the morning were the sixth day. And then the first verse in Genesis 2. "Thus the heavens and the earth and all the hosts of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all of his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made." I did not see anything about evolution, a Big Bang, or millions of years. So since we did not find that, can we find dinosaurs in the Bible? Some people believe that Behemoth and Leviathan are dinosaurs. What are they? When were they created? How many of them are there, and what is their purpose? Job 40, 15 through 18. Behold now Behemoth, which I made as well as you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold now his strength is in his loins, and his power in his muscles of his belly. He bends his tail like a cedar. The tendons of his thighs are knit together. Job 41, 1 through 7. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook? Or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many supplications to you? Or will he speak to you soft word? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Will you play with him as with birds? Or will you bind him for your maidens? Will the traders bargain over him? Will they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or head with fishing spears? Job 41, 15 through 21. His strong scales are his pride, shut up as with a tight seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined to one another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. His sneezes flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth goes burning torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils smoke goes forth, as from a boiling pot, and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes forth from his mouth. Job 41, 22 through 28. In his neck lodges strength, and dismay leaps before him. The folds of his flesh are joined together firm on him and immovable. His heart is as hard as a stone, even as hard as a lower millstone. When he raises himself, the mighty fear. Because of the crashing, they are bewildered. The sword that reaches him cannot avail, nor the spear, the dart or the javelin. He regards iron as straw, bronze as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned into stubble for him. 2 Baruch 29:4. And Behemoth shall be revealed from his place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea. Those two great monsters which I created on the 5th day of creation. Jubilees 2:11. And on the 5th day he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters. For these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands, the fish and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds, and all their kind. 2 Esdras 6:49 through 52. You kept 2 living creatures in reserve. You named one Behemoth, and the second one you named Leviathan. You separated them from each other, for the 7th part where the water was gathered couldn't contain them. You gave Behemoth one part of the land that had been dried on the 3rd day, where there are 1,000 mountains, so that he might live there. To Leviathan, however, you gave the watery 7th part. Enoch 58, verse 12. And the angel of peace, who was with me, said, These 2 monsters, who are by the power of God, prepared to become food, that the punishment of God may not be in vain. Enoch 58, 7 through 8. In that day shall be distributed for food 2 monsters, a female monster whose name is Leviathan, dwelling in the depths of the sea, above the springs of the waters, and a male monster whose name is Behemoth, which possesses, moving on his breast, the invisible wilderness. So they're not dinosaurs. Behemoth would be cattle, and Leviathan would be a sea creature. They were created on the 5th day. There's only one of each, and they were created to be food. And they would be a clean meat because the Father cares about his food laws even if people don't. Leviticus 11, 2 through 4. Speak to the sons of Israel, saying, These are the creatures which you may eat from, all the animals that are on the earth. Whatever divides a hoof, thus making split hoofs, and chews the cud, among the animals that you may eat. Nevertheless, you are not to eat of these among those which chew the cud, or among those which divide the hoof. The camel, for though it chews cud, it does not divide the hoof. It is unclean to you. And then for creatures of the sea, we have Leviticus 11, 9 through 12. These you may eat, whatever is in the water. All that have fins and scales, those in the water, in the seas, or in the rivers, you may eat. But whatever is in the sea and in the rivers that does not have fins and scales, among all the teeming life in the water, and among all the living creatures that are in the water. They are detestable things to you, and they shall be abhorrent to you. You may not eat of their flesh, and their carcasses you shall detest. Whatever in the water does not have fins and scales is abhorrent to you. Bible Hub has some commentary that says Behemoth would be a hippo, so let's debunk that really fast. A hippo would not be a clean meat. A hippo has a cloven hoof, but it does not chew cud. Also, we know that Behemoth's tail is said to be like a cedar or like a tree trunk. So let's look at a hippo tail and let's look at cattle tail. Hippo. Cattle. Which one would look more like a tree trunk if the animal was absolutely massive? Probably not the hippo. But what about dinosaur bones? I go to the museum and I see dinosaurs everywhere. Do you though? Do you really?
Here we have our T-Rex skull, and it is one of the most complete T-Rex skulls ever found.
So those the real teeth from T-Rex?
Yeah, the lower jaw is pretty complete. If you take a look in between the cracks, we put in things like clay and glue to hold it together.
So you're saying this is a lot of this is clay?
Not a lot. Well, the
a lot of it's clay.
A lot of this is clay.
You can definitely tell.
In 1908 in Montana, paleontologists uncovered this. The remains of a sharp-toothed carnivorous dinosaur. At the time, it was the largest one ever discovered. They called it Tyrannosaurus rex. Today, it's mounted here. Well, some of it is, because they didn't find a full dinosaur in 1908. What they found was the skull, most of the tail, the ribcage, pelvis, and most of the vertebrae. But the rest of what you're seeing here, it's man-made. And that's true for most dinosaur exhibits. So, how did they fill in the blanks? For this T-Rex, both hind limbs and both front limbs were missing. But judging by the skeleton, researchers determined it was closely related to an Allosaurus. So an artist was commissioned to hand-carve the missing pieces, using the Allosaurus skeleton as a reference. Years later, they'd be replaced by replicas of real T-Rex bones. It turned out that T-Rex feet do look a lot like Allosaurus feet. While we still haven't found a fully intact T-Rex, we now have the information to build one.
When I first got my job here 30 years ago, there was about 10 T-Rexes known, and now there's 46. So if we just put all those together, we know what the whole skeleton looks like.
So this T-Rex is ultimately kind of a Frankenstein monster. The pieces used to complete it were copied from various other T-Rexes. Researchers use computers to scan and mirror limbs. As in, if they have the left leg, they essentially flip it to create the right leg of the same size. It's efficient and precise work. In other words, it's highly unlikely you'll stumble across a dinosaur with the wrong head today. Because even though dinosaur skeletons don't show up in one piece, there's no longer a lot of mystery around how they're supposed to look.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go.
Hi, I'm Carrie Levitt-Bouzian, and I'm the Paleontology Collections Manager here at the Natural History Museum of Utah. We are behind the scenes in collections, and we get to see some of the stuff that people don't get to see on display. You know, only about 1% of the stuff that museums ever have ever goes on display. Everything else is back in the collection space.
So what am I saying? Am I saying that dinosaurs could never exist outside of evolution, outside of millions of years, and outside of a Big Bang? Well, before we can talk about that, we have to talk about the giants. We have to talk about the Nephilim and how they came to be. Genesis 6, verse 4. The Nephilim giants were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of mankind, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. 1 Enoch 7, 1-5. They took for themselves wives from among them such as they chose, and they began to go into them and to defile themselves through them, and to teach them sorcery and charms, and to reveal to them the cunning of roots and plants. And they conceived from them and bore to them great giants. The giants begot Nephilim, and to the Nephilim were born Eliud, and they were growing in accordance with their greatness. They were devouring the labor of all the sons of men, and they were not able to supply them. And the giants began to kill men and devour them. They began to sin against the birds and the beasts and creeping things and the fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and they drank the blood. 1 Enoch 6, 1-2. And it came to pass, when the sons of men had increased, that in those days there were born to them fair and beautiful daughters. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them.
Yo, this is the human females?
Oh my.
These shorties are fine.
1 Enoch 6:2. And they said to one another, Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the children of men, and let us beget for ourselves children.
We should spit some game and find us a main, squeeze the wife up. I'm gonna make me a junior.
1 Enoch 6:3. And Semyaza, who was their leader, said to them, I fear that you may not wish this deed to be done, and that I alone will pay for this great sin.
I'm not about to do this solo dolo, though. If y'all back out, I'm gonna catch all that holy smoke.
1 Enoch 6:4-5. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and bind one another with curses, so not to alter this plan, but to carry out this plan effectively. Then they all swore together, and all bound one another with curses to it.
Bet. Put that on everything.
So the Watchers came down, they took wives, they taught them root cutting and sorcery, and by this they made giants. So, if they were making giant people, is it possible that they were making giant animals? We have hieroglyphs that prove that there were giant people. And we have verses that tell us that they began to sin against the animals. I take this to mean genetic manipulation, and we have evidence of this in hieroglyphs also. So were they creating giant animals? And why would they? Well, one reason could be for war. Baruch 3:24-28. O Israel, how great is the house of God! How vast the territory that he possesses! It is great and has no bounds. It is high and immeasurable. The giants were born there, who were famous of old, great in stature, expert in war. God did not choose them or give them the way to knowledge, so they perished because they had no wisdom. They perished through their folly. But the main reason that I believe giants were making giant animals is for food. It says that they were already eating all of the vegetation, they were already eating all of the regular sized people, and they were already eating each other. So it's absolutely possible that being unable to sustain themselves, that they were making giant animals for food. Is it possible that their fathers, the Watchers, were in heaven to witness God creating Behemoth and Leviathan for food? Jubilees 2, verse 2. For on the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him, the angels of the presence, and the angels of sanctification. So what I'm saying is, I think dinosaurs are a result of giants being unable to sustain themselves and them trying their absolute best to have food to eat so they could continue on. And I believe they learned this from the Watchers who were present during the creation of Behemoth and Leviathan, who were created by God for food for the nations. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to come back. Also, always check the description. I leave links to Instagrams, to Facebook groups, to Facebook pages. Also, I've had people ask me how they can bless this channel. I leave links to that also. Thank you guys for coming back, and as always, you are so greatly appreciated.
I'm feeling weak. And I know this ain't what I meant to be. But I know it's time to get up. Yeah, I know it's time to fight, get my fist up. Yeah, I got issues.
When I look in the mirror, I wanna be peering the pierced hands. But I met with a steel glance with a battered the pill cap, but a baggage to fill gaps, and I managed to break and shatter the glass with a better put it back together, but still having a backlash from past habitual damage and actions. I laugh back at the fact that I'm half average, so in reality, actually half backwards, cause I lack what a man has to have in order to pass from looking back at the shackles. Yeah, I got a lot of madness, but the fact that the matter is you had a plan with this. Either you manifest yourself or flesh you up, invest you up, Lazarus. You had to pin for palms and then exalt the limb, the martyr sense.
Give me your hands, I'll give you my wounds. Show me your love that I'll probably abuse. Give me your grace, I'll show you my bruises. Show me your face and I'll show you my tools. Check out my issues. I got my issues. I got my issues. I got my issues.
really when I look, cause sometimes I just don't recognize. Flashbacks of the man looking back at me. Hotels with a pack of amphetamines. And I know this ain't what I meant to be, but I am my own worst enemy. How can you deal when you feel like you wanna kill Bill? So you pop pills so you don't feel a thing. Man, I'm feeling weak, like I ain't got no energy. My legs are walking through the desert, feeling like this next turn might just be the end of me. And my enemies, they surround me, so I call out your name so loudly. But these evil demons won't leave, and they scheming, trying to leave me bleeding on the ground, B. But I know it's time to get up. Yeah, I know it's time to fight, got my fist up. Got my slingshot and a rock in my pocket. Better pop it and watch it bounce off of your noggin. These demons want the death of me, but Jesus want the best for me. So I'ma beat you for the rest to see. Leave it all on the field, nothing left of me. No breath to breathe. Yeah, I got issues. You can see it that I'm sinful, but God came down to the middle, set me free from the pain and the mental. So I'ma write it all down with my pencil. You ain't gotta be afraid of the devil. You were born with a plan and a purpose, and man, you are worth it to God. You were not accidental.
I'll give you my wounds. Show me your love that I'll probably abuse. Give me your grace. I'll show you my bruises. Show me your face and I'll show you my tools. I got my issues. I got my issues. I got my issues. I got my issues.
I'm falling down harder, man, I'm all into drama. I became a pill popper, and I'm feeling froggy. Man, I really wanna fight, yet I got a strong jaw like piranhas. Tryna run up on me, I'ma send it to my father. Got a strap, kinda like the heat in a sauna. Matter of fact, I'm about to speed in a Honda. Back to the trap and drink in a bottle. What you know about that? Real life, G's always gonna know how I feel like. It's me stuck in the struggle, don't feel right. Back in the day, get in trouble at midnight. And I always bought a set just to kill time. And I always hit a lick just to deal dimes. Now I'm trying to find a fix, now I'm trying to take a hit, now I'm trying to take a swig, I'ma live right. I was all in sin, but God chose Saul to power the switch. I was falling like Autumn with no godly friends. Now I'm walking with God with confidence. I got my all in this. I see you talk about ministry, let me tell you what is killing me. Saying you love but got none to be giving me. Saying you love but got none to be giving me. You kidding me? Let me talk about your Philistines for a minute now. Talk behind your back till you in the casket. They showing love when you in the clouds. They getting love in the pulpit. No wonder I get issues. Saying it's God but not all to be cool with. Showing love to Judas when he kiss my issues.
Give me your hands, I'll give you my wounds. Show me your love that I'll probably abuse. Give me your grace, I'll show you my bruises. Show me your face and I'll show you my tools. I got these issues that I really wanna let go, they're inside of me. I'm giving them up to you now, Lord, I'm lifting them up to you now. And it's time to take my cape off.